Hey everyone and welcome back. And deflated. I think that's the main the only word I can sort of describe how probably a lot of us are how we're feeling after that Bologna result on Monday night. It was obviously a deflating performance in the sense of obviously not getting the 3 points that we should be getting against these sides. And we're seeing it far too many times this season when we're playing against teams like Udinese home and away, Spezia at home, Salernitana away, and now Bologna at home. We're not picking up maximum points. And regardless of how we look at it, and obviously the trajectory of our club in the last few years and how incredible it has been when you kind of factor in everything, the amount of money spent with FFP on our backs, fielding a strike force with free transfers like Giroud and Ibra and Junior Messias on the right side, combined transfer fee of 7 million, same as Salamakers. Brahim Diaz is it's a low paid loan deal. There's that context taken into account, and obviously we're not delivering on the attacking end of the spectrum. But it's not. There's massive scoring problems. I think we can't sort of hide from it, and I think the 1-0 victories were great. Obviously, I want a victory. How it comes is fantastic, but there were slight points for concern. Obviously, 1-0 victories. There's only a point where it can get you so far, but when we really look at the stats and how. The precision the other night, everything about 33 shots, 7 on target, not a single goal scored. There's concerning things to look about, I think, for myself in particular. 4 goals in the last 6 games as well, and we're going to really sort of look at today, not in a negative way. There are obviously scoring issues, highlighting that, looking at how the defence has actually improved since the turn of the years, which is something we can obviously take note about. Obviously, we care about winning games, and games of football can't be won without actually scoring goals. We know that. But at the same time, you've got to do what you can to concede as little goals as possible to help you to win along the way. And obviously, we've been improving on that. So we'll go on about that. And obviously, we're not jumping off the wagon. I don't think any fan should be jumping off the wagon right now. We're still 1 point above the rest of the chasing pack. We're still top of the table. So it's still in our favour, even though there's 7 games left and the tougher games. All these things taken into account. I know that is going to happen. But let's just continue to back the boys, and we're just going to get onto that while there's still hope going in towards the tail end of the season, the last 7 games domestically in the league, plus also a semi-final in the Coppa Italia against Inter Milan. So let's get straight into the attacking issues that we have here. Look, 4 goals in the last 6 games. Why? The attack, we know, there's limitations. The players that we have, especially on the right side, are just not good enough. The defences that we're coming up against right now, especially these sort of bottom 10 sides, they want to sit back. They want to play in back 3 formations, and it is up to us to break them down. And it's never going to change. And that's something that obviously comes down to the coach. It comes down to the players executing that strategy, finding themselves, opportunities to get those good shots on target, keeping themselves patient, not, resorting to long balls and, crosses. 44 crosses the other night against Bologna into the box, and one guy could probably get his head on into it. So I think that's down to us as well to stick to our game plan, regardless if it's, the 10th minute, regardless if it's the 70th minute. We have to stick to what we're good at and hope that breaks down the other side. Because we know once we go 1-0 up against a side, they have to come out of their shape, and that's when we can sort of capitalise and get other goals. Even though we've had quite a lot of 1-0 results recently, that is really where we are strong at. But it's just getting that first goal in the first place what we're really struggling with. And that was quite apparent against Bologna. Look, the last game that we scored more than 1 goal was against Salernitana on the February 19th. And that obviously wasn't a great result anyway, because we got a draw in that game, which was something that we can't really scream home about. But that was the last time we scored more than 1 goal in a 2-2 draw there. If I pull out the stats as well, look, versus Bologna, 33 shots in the total game. That includes shots on target, shots off target, and block shots. Only 7 of those shots were on target. Same thing against Cagliari, 21 shots, only 6 on goal, 6 on target. We're really struggling at getting that, precise moment to be, whether it's 1-on-1 with a keeper or a good shot on target. Other teams are generating these chances against these bottom sides, but we're really struggling with that. We're really struggling to find ourselves with those clear-cut opportunities. I could look at the Bologna game the other day. Probably the one when Calabria gets put through on goal was really when I can look at there, I got really excited, come off my seat. Here we go. Let's put that home, but we didn't. He kind of got that off target. There was a block from Medel there, but we really struggled to get those opportunities when we're clear through on goal and 1-on-1 with the keeper, and we can sort of, it comes down less to chance, less to a deflection, less to individual quality to hopefully break away from a marker and stuff like that. We have to do a lot more to get ourselves in those positions, and it's sometimes it's quite hard. when our opponents are putting a lot of men behind the ball. They're putting a lot of men into the box as well, so they're clearing the crosses as well, not giving ourselves time on the ball. We're finding it very difficult, but this is now up to Pioli. This is up to the team, and to stick to a game plan, not just resort to long balls. 44 crosses against Bologna. I read the stats on that one. That's a lot of crosses, considering the fact we only have one guy who can header them. So I do think that comes to maturity, it comes to patience, but it's something that Stefano Pioli just clearly has to work with going forward. Now, as disappointed as we all are from the lack of the attacking efficiency we're seeing right now over the last couple of months, because when we look back at the sort of the turn of the new year, we were looking good. 3 goals against Roma, 3 goals against Venezia. We had goals coming against the Coppa Italia, Lazio, Genoa. The issue hasn't really been since the turn of the year. It's only really been in the last month or so. I'd say last 2 months where we've really been seeing that deficiency kind of kick into gear. Where there has been improvement though, and it's something to take note, and it's not all doom and gloom, is that defensively we are improving. And obviously we can look back end of last season, we're racking up those clean sheets, and we seem to be doing the same again this season. And even though obviously you need to score goals to win football games, defensively you also need to be sharp as well. And I looked and I've compared the stats from the turn of the new year in 2022 compared to the first part of the season pre-2022. So in 22 so far, games played 15, 3 in the Coppa Italia. Goals scored, obviously goals that we've scored, 23. Goals conceded, that is 8. Now, when we take away the Coppa Italia fixtures, that leaves us with 12 games. So in those 12 games, we've only conceded 7 goals in the league. That is an average of 0.58 goals per game conceded by Milan. So is that an improvement? Now let's look back to pre-2022. So there were 19 games played in the league in pre-2022, and we conceded 22 goals. So obviously, mathematicians out there, that is 1.15 goals per game conceded. So there has been a stark improvement defensively. Where does that come down to? Obviously, Mike Mignon, he had that injury, so it took him out for quite a lot of games. A lot of goals were conceded in his absence. Tatarusanu, obviously, games that come to mind is the Sassuolo fixture. I think he was in goal for that one. No, sorry, the Fiorentina fixture. I think when we conceded 4 goals in that game there. Look, Kalulu's coming to the side as well. Been very aggressive in his play. Not to sort of take any knocks to Simon Kjaer as well, who was there for the first half of the season, the first 3 months. But Kalulu's coming and added that sort of aggression into defence and not allowing... I don't think we're conceding ourselves in situations where we're conceding a lot of goals on the counter-attack because of his speed and being linking up with Fikayo Tomori. And probably the less condensed fixture list, I would probably say, that comes down to that as well. Look, Pioli's been working on this defence. Obviously, we're allowing ourselves less opportunities to be attacked on the counter-attacks. We're trying to improve ourselves defensively from set pieces. We've seen improvements on that nonetheless, but having a less condensed fixture list with no Champions League games mid-weeks is helping us out, I think, in that regard. Now, is there hope going forward? I like to think so. There's a lot of things that come into account with my sort of theory on that, because I don't think we can fall off the wagon right now. There's a lot of reasons, because firstly, never back this team off. Never. When the chips are down and you think all is lost, and we've been in that point many times this season, and regardless if you think, we've not kind of got to the finish line, you could say like the Atletico Madrid game away from home. There was no point us playing that game pre-game because it was like we're out of the competition anyway. But we came up trumps and got the clinical 1-0 game to take it to game 6 of that group stage. And that's kind of like a bad metaphor to use, but that's just one anyway. Or you can look to the fixture against Inter Milan as well. 1-0 down, not looking good. The season's over. We're not going to win the league. They're looking like strong. And then Giroud comes up with those 2 magical goals, and it puts us back into the title race and puts them in that sort of really bad month of the season. So never write off this team. I think that's the main thing I'm going to say right now. But I can't just say that because that's a sort of like a mental thing. There is no sort of structure to that argument. You just can't write a team off, and that's the only sort of reason to give ourselves hope going towards these last 7 games of the season. We had issues at home last season. Maybe that came from not having fans in the stadium, but we seem to have the same issues, similar issues persisting probably to a lesser degree this season. So at home, we are the 4th best team in the league with 1 extra game played. 16 when a lot of teams have only played 15 games. And in those 16 games we played at home, there's been 9 wins, 4 draws, 3 losses, 23 goals scored and 12 goals conceded with a goal difference of plus 11. Not bad, but obviously, if you want to win the league, you need to really improve on that. And obviously, results against like Bologna at home, or Spezia at home, or Udinese at home, and not be helping that sort of cause. When we look at our away form this season, last season it was sublime. Obviously that helped because of having no fans in stadiums either, allowed ourselves to play with confidence away from home. And that's continued towards this season as well. We have the second best form away from home with one less game played. We played 15 games played with a lot of other teams. Napoli, who's currently first, have 16 games played. So if Milan win another away game, we go first place in form. 15 games played, 11 wins, 3 draws, 1 loss, 33 goals scored compared to the 23 at home, and 17 goals conceded. So there's 5 more goals conceded with a plus 16 goal difference. What does that mean? I think at home, for me, that means that we kind of play a bit conservative when really we should be a bit more confident. Sometimes a bit nervous as well with the home fans there, a bit of pressure. Look, this team isn't fully mature yet, and they are still growing, and we have to sort of factor that into account. But when we play away from home, I'd see a different team. I see a much more bold team, a much more, aggressive team, a team that's willing to do more things on and off the ball. And I like to see that. And that, looking at the last, 7 games of the fixture list, Torino away, Lazio away, Hellas Verona away, and Sassuolo away. I look at those 4 games and I can not easily see ourselves winning it, but I see ourselves coming out with 3 points in a lot of those fixtures because I just think we're so confident away from home. And there's money in the bank, there's history of that, and I really hope that continues towards the end of the season because we're really going to need it. We're really going to need it if we want to sort of achieve a strong finish towards the end of this season. Why as well does it kind of allow us to be a bit more bold when we play? Because away teams, they can't just sit back and put 10 men behind the ball and put all the players inside the box. I think when a lot of teams come to the San Siro and play us at home, they have a point to prove, especially defensively, and they have to hold their defensive shape and sort of allow for a lot more in the counter-attack. When they play at home, when we play these teams away from home, the onus is really on them to come attack us because their fans want to see some sort of form of football, especially these stronger sides, these mid-tables to, 4th place to 11th place, 12th place sides. They really want to see their team try to do something in the attacking end, and that allows us to really get at them in open play, not just wait for those few moments and hope for the best with long balls. Allows us to really play our expansive football to its fullest. So we've spoken about the attacking deficiencies that we clearly know that we have. We've spoken about the improvements we've made in defence, which is something that I find that's actually quite encouraging going towards the end of the season. And we've spoken about how our away fixtures is much more superior to our home fixture, and with 4 out of the last 7 games remaining away from home, I've got a bit of confidence. I've got a bit of hope. And I think we should all keep that hope going forward. It's very easy to jump off the wagon. It's very easy to say, title race is done. Look at Inter's fixture list. Look at Napoli's fixture list. They've just beaten a strong side. We've just, fell apart, but not gotten what we should have gotten against a team like Bologna. Stick with this side. Honestly, you'll be surprised at what they can do once the chips are down. And I just think there's enough evidence there that this team has enough heart. They have enough heart to turn you around and surprise a lot of teams, a lot of fans, a lot of neutrals, whoever it might be watching us or hoping for our sort of downfall. There's enough heart in this side. And I do believe Pioli will work on this side, work on the attack. And it's down to the players as well in these final few moments. It wasn't as if against Bologna, for example, or even against Cagliari, that we're not creating any opportunities at all. We're creating a large amount of opportunities, but it's honestly coming down to probably nerves. It's coming down to precision in those final few moments. And it's really when it comes down to the player to either just deliver or not, and if they're going to prove and take that moment or not. And I honestly think when it comes down to it, some of these players will step up and be accounted for, and I've got that hope. Look, and honestly, we have to improve on breaking down these sort of weaker opposition defences, and we look towards the last 7 games of the season. Torino away, Genoa at home, Lazio away, Fiorentina at home, Hellas Verona away, Atalanta at home, and Sassuolo away. What's the game I looked for the most and I kind of look at it most concern? Probably Genoa at home. Because that is the typical side that we will draw 1-0, we'll get a struggling beat them 1-0 struggling wise, or draw to them 0-0 even. I can't even get the words out of my mouth anymore. But the important thing is those other 6 games to me look like games of football where the other team's going to really give it to us. And let's go. I think pound for pound we are a far superior side to those other 6 sides. So let's come down to it, and it's going to come down to a bit of luck. Hopefully referee decisions kind of go our way and they don't sort of screw us out on those, key moments, and players can keep their composure as well. But I think we've got enough in the tank. I honestly still think we can do it this year. I won't be disappointed if we don't, but at the same time, I just want to see a lot of heart, and if whatever happens at the end of the season happens. So stick with it, guys. Stick with this team. Continue to back them. Continue to support them. Don't point falling off the wagon because of the 0-0 draw against Bologna. Not all doom and gloom. And until next time, guys, Forza Milan.